Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today I'll be listing 10 tips to improve your time in Warframe. And this is a continuation of another video we did recently that has a similar title. And that's because you guys gave such good input on other things that could be added in the comment section. So a lot of these tips will actually be from our commenters and from Discord members. But before we go over the video today, let's go over the commenter board here. So our first and top commenter of the last video was the same person. It's Nostrapapas. And then we have our recent channel supporters here of Whoopty-Wham, Nice Bear, and Colonel006. Thank you so much for your support. Now, Andy, go ahead and roll that instructional video music for us. Tip number 1, turn on ally highlighting for when you're hunting in the open world. And this one I had no idea about, so this is definitely thanks to one of our commenters. So what you'll do is you'll press escape, you'll go to options, you're gonna go all the way to the right where it says accessibility here. You're gonna scroll down until you see character highlighting. Go ahead and click on that. And then you're gonna make sure ally highlights are turned on. You can change the color to whatever you want. I'm just gonna keep it at blue, that's the default color. And I am gonna change the intensity all the way up to 100 because we're using this specifically to find wildlife. So we want them to be very noticeable. And what this will do is it will actually highlight those wildlife. And so they're gonna be much easier to see if you're hunting like I do, especially like up in the air with the Arcwing. Actually, you can see them right there. Normally I wouldn't really know they were right here, but there they are because they're bright blue there. Tip number 2 is be careful what weapons you're selling, even if you've mastered them already, just because some weapons are required to craft other weapons in the game. So you may need them in the future. And actually, Andy, go ahead and switch our screen over to the wiki page there. So I found a really great resource here. This is a Warframe wiki page where it's titled Warframe Weapons Required as Crafting Ingredients. And it actually gives you a huge list of all of the weapons that are required to craft other weapons. There's actually a lot more than I thought of. You know, it's been so long since I've crafted some of these. I was thinking to myself, well, it's probably only 8 or 9 weapons in the game. No, it's a lot more than that. Oh my goodness. There is, what is this here? 5 primaries, a lot of secondaries, and a lot of melees and even one of the arc melee weapons too. That's weird. So yeah, use this site here. It should help you a lot with this. Tip number 3, after you've mastered a non-prime Warframe, if you have the available Warframe slots, really try to hold on to it until you eventually unlock the Helminth system. And that's because all of the Warframes in the game have one ability that they're able to give to other Warframes. In Ureli's case, it's her 3 Aqua Blades. But to get that ability to give this to other Warframes, she has to be sent into the Helminth system. And so if you're able to, hold on to those Warframes until you can finally send them into that system. Tip number 4, one of the absolute best things to spend your early plat on when you're a brand new player is slots. So if we go into the market here, we go to equipment, and we go to slots, it's gonna be these things. And specifically, I would say for early game players, it's gonna be weapon and Warframe slots are gonna be the most important thing. Now, these are kind of boring things to spend your platinum on. You know, there's so many shiny, beautiful things you could buy in Warframe, and these are definitely boring things to spend your plat on, but these are probably the most important thing that you're gonna really need early on. Even mid-game, honestly. I still end up buying slots, and you know, I have over 6,000 hours in the game. Tip number 5, you can turn most Warframe abilities invisible, and you can turn most weapon effects invisible by just using dark energy colors. And this is really good if your weapon or ability has too much visual clutter. And I'm gonna use the Furus Incarnate as an example here because this is horrible with visual clutter. We look what it looks like normally here with just some random bright colors. This is what it looks like. A lot of stuff on the screen there. Well, let's go ahead and turn those energy colors black instead. It doesn't have to be black, but the darker the better. So if you have access to the smoke color palette, that'll be the best one. You go to black. You're gonna turn the other one to black as well. And the energy is the only one you actually have to change. You don't have to change anything else. And you can do the same thing with Warframe abilities by just going into your Warframe and changing your Warframe energy to black or a dark color as well. So we're gonna go back here and we're gonna see what this looks like now. Make sure it gets an incarnate so I can actually do it here. Now you're gonna look. Yeah, that's right, it's actually working and you don't see anything. It's pretty much invisible. So that can help a lot with visual clutter. Tip number 6 is understanding multiplicative guncio. And multiplicative guncio comes down to 2 different mods. One is for primaries, one is for secondaries. They're both close to being the same. So for primaries, it's galvanized aptitude, and for secondaries, it's galvanized shot. Now, this is a mod that will usually be additive. So it works like another mod like Hornet Strike or like Serration does for primaries. However, on some weird weapons, it works multiplicatively, and so it gets a lot more value on those specific weapons. And weirdly, sometimes it's even additive and multiplicative on the same weapon. We look here at the Tenet Diplos, this is one of those cases. If you're hip firing this weapon, it's additive, but if you're aiming and using the homing mode, it's multiplicative. So it gets even more complicated. And I'm gonna actually have Andy bring up the next screen here, and we'll show how to actually figure this out. Okay, so once again, we have a Warframe wiki page here. This is actually not the only page that covers condition overload mechanics. It's one of the pages I like to use to look at this though. So when you type this in, make sure you're actually typing Warframe condition overload mechanic, because if you just type in condition overload, you'll just get the mod that's called condition overload. So type in condition overload mechanic. Now, once you're on this page, you're gonna keep scrolling down about halfway through the page until you get this big list of primary weapons, and then below that is a big list of secondary weapons here. And, you know, since we have the Tenet Diplos, let's go ahead and look at them here. So you can see the Tenet Diplos are actually put on here twice, and that's because one mode, the normal attack, is additive, and one mode, the lock-on mode, is multiplying. And so you can actually come here and you can figure out which weapons are additive and multiplicative, and even what firing modes of the same weapon may be different. So this is a really great resource. Tip number 7 is dark sectors. And this tip is definitely more focused towards brand new players, because I think most people are going to know what dark sectors are. So dark sectors are nodes that are on most planets that are occupied by the infested, and you get more loot by farming on these nodes. So let's look at Earth, for instance. So if we look at Tikal, it has a little symbol that's special that shows that it's a dark sector. And if you scroll over it, it actually says bonus plus 15% resource drop chance. And if we go off of Earth here, let's look at another one, Phobos. It's gonna have that same symbol on the node. Let me see, looks like this one has 2 dark sectors here. So Memphis, which is 25% resource drop chance, and Zugma, which is plus 25% resource drop chance as well. So farming on these dark sectors can give you a lot more loot. Tip number 8, the most efficient relic farms in the game. So we're gonna quickly go over the Lith, Meso, Neo, and Axii farms. So we're gonna go into navigation here. We're gonna scroll out. We're gonna go to the Void, which is to the left here. This is where most of the farms are gonna occur. And Hepit is going to be the one that you're gonna go to for Lith relics. This takes about 45 seconds on average for just a regular Warframe, you know, a non-speedrun Warframe to run through. And that's gonna be for a Lith relic. Ukko, same thing. This takes about 45 seconds to finish this mission on average. And this drops both Meso and Neo, which means that if you didn't care, if you were trying to get both Meso and Neo, you're looking at 45 seconds per. But if you were specifically trying to get Meso or Neo, then on average it's gonna drop, you know, once every 2, which is gonna be 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then when we talk about Axii, we're gonna scroll out here and we're gonna go to Lua, and Apollo is gonna be for the Axii farm. Now, Apollo is the longest farm out of all of them, unfortunately, because it's disruption instead of capture. But still, on average, you're looking probably at about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, probably tops if you're kind of going a little bit slow there. You could probably go quicker than 2 minutes if you had like a full group doing it. But this is going to be for Axii. Tip number 9, weekly and daily things you could be doing to get Kuva. So the first thing I'll mention is Teshin at any of the relays. You go to Steel Path Honors, and you scroll down. He has a 10,000 Kuva bundle, and you could buy this 25 times per week. So that's a total of 250,000 Kuva. The next thing is you can be going to Iron Wake, which is a node on Earth, and you talk to the vendor there, and you can buy 35,000 Kuva for 10 Riven Slivers. The next thing is you can go to the Chrysalith, and you can talk to Archmage Yanta, and you can buy a 35,000 Kuva bundle from her for 5 pinions. So altogether, those three things we just mentioned is 320,000 kuva that you can get weekly. Now, the next thing that you can be doing, and this is actually a really good farm that has no cap, is doing arbitrations. And you can be doing arbitrations, you get the Vitus Essence, and then you go to turn that Vitus Essence in, and you can trade it for kuva bundles. And again, that has no cap at all, so you can do that as much as you want. So you should be getting at least 320,000 kuva per week, or even more if you want to be doing those arbitration runs as well. Tip number 10 is make yourself a decent amp. So when you finally get to the point where you have the Moat amp unlocked, try to move away from it as quick as you possibly can because it's not very good. And what I suggest you do is you make yourself a Raplac amp. So you're gonna put the Raplac Prism on, and the reason for this is actually the two best prisms in the game are the Clamora and the Raplac. Except the Clamora requires a lot of reputation for you to eventually unlock it. But the Raplac you pretty much unlock right away. So you'll have access to one of the meta prisms right off the bat. Now, when it comes to the scaffold and brace, the meta scaffolds and the meta braces, they require a lot of reputation, so you're not really going to be able to put them on right away. So just put on any scaffold, put on any brace, it doesn't really matter. The Raplac prism itself will carry you. And then when you do get to the point where you have the reputation to get one of the meta scaffolds or to get one of the meta braces, then go ahead and make yourself a min-maxed Raplac, or switch to the Clamora and make yourself a min-maxed Clamora. But just don't struggle with the Moat amp. Please, at least switch to the Raplac. So that was 10 additional tips to improve your time in Warframe. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing for future content. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.